you make money.
Become a Phil's Gang member and receive the training, advice, and software that will take your investing to the next level.
philsgang.com. Sign up free for 10 days.
With the philsgang.com membership, we bring investors right to the floor, into the pits with Phil's daily live webinar classroom. Get inside market guidance on investing strategies. Find out more at philsgang.com or call 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. Don't have time to analyze and study stocks? At philsgang.com, we recognize that there are all types of investors, and we also recognize that your time is valuable. So we offer investing programs for all individuals. We offer investing programs for long-term and short-term positions. And philsgang.com provides quick and easy to understand investing videos that only take a few minutes to watch. With the philsgang.com investing programs, you will learn technical stock charting, how to execute your trades, and most importantly, you will gain the confidence to know when to get out of a stock and take profits. Sign up at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. Listening to Phil's Gang with your host, Phil Grande, on the Off the Wall Street Radio Network. Off the Wall Street Radio Network. Remember to visit Phil's website at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. Or call the office, 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264.
If you want to invest your money and grow your wealth, listen to this.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. You know, I get so tired of listening to the same garbage every day, listening to the fake business news network telling you why you should buy this stock, why you should buy, and they're always wrong. Join my gang, philsgang.com, free for 10 days. You're going to learn when to buy a stock and when not to buy a stock. Hey, years ago it was different. You could buy a stock based on fundamentals. You could buy a stock based on earnings. You could buy a stock based on PE ratios. Those days are gone. That ended with QE. That ended when they financially engineered the market in 2008. Gone. Now you got to follow the money. And we have the knowledge because we have the chart. Pro 2 color-coded chart tells you when to buy, when to sell, when to run like hell.
For a limited time, you can join Phil's Gang free for 10 days.
Check it out, philsgang.com. Get the truth, get the knowledge, and understand how the market really works.
When the stock market is up one day and down the next, you need experienced advice from a pro.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. I know you're sitting there watching the stock market. You're going, what? Is this nuts? Market goes up 700 points. Next day it goes up 800 points. Then the market goes back down. Then it goes back up. What that is volatility.
You want to invest your money and grow your wealth. How do you invest intelligently?
But you got to anticipate what's going to happen with the market. And that's what we give you. Information so you can anticipate in advance what the market's going to do so you know what stocks to buy, you know what stocks to short. It's all about having good information and anticipation. You got to anticipate. The one thing you can't do is rely on your brokers. Listen.
Our responsibility begins and ends with our partners and our shareholders, and that's it.
What are you, nuts? Partners or shareholders? You're not included.
Check out the free 10-day trial and follow Phil to investing success. Learn more at philsgang.com. philsgang.com. When you listen to the advice of Phil Grande at philsgang.com, you'll find investing in the stock market makes sense with the right guidance.
People keep saying to me, boy, things are hard. Things are tough. Boy, the market's really screwed up. I don't agree with them. For us here at Phil's Gang, we make it so it's simple. It doesn't matter if the market's bad or good. We consistently do well because we make it simple. And just like for my listeners on the radio or on the internet or my podcast, we make it simple. We try to break it down So you really understand why the market is going up, or why there's continued inflation, or why the bank rates are going up. So you understand, especially yields. The most important thing to understand how yields work. Just what we do. We work hard at it.
Trusted advice, easy to understand strategies that will make you a better investor. Get all the details at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. These are volatile times in the stock market.
Market's up 200, then it's up 800, it's up 700.
How do you get the facts when investing?
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. If you're confused about the stock market, get unconfused. Go to my site, philsgang.com, and listen to my radio show every weekday at 3 Eastern. What is the market going to do? We know exactly what the market's going to do.
Phil's got the answers at philsgang.com.
There's no need for you to be losing money.
Check it out, philsgang.com. If you invest in the stock market, take a moment for this important advice.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. You've got to stop listening to the fake business news networks because they tell you what you want to hear instead of what you need to hear.
Phil Grande guides you step by step on investing.
You're going to know exactly what the tone of the market is. Do I sell? Do I not sell? Do I buy?
All you need to know is philsgang.com.
Check it out, philsgang.com, philsgang.com. Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. You know, I've been doing this business of trading over 55 years. God, they make it so complicated. It doesn't have to be. The best way to learn is to follow me, my actual investments. That's right. When I buy a stock, you follow me. Do exactly what I do. That's the best way to learn.
Check out the free 10-day trial. Learn more at philsgang.com.
Be my co-pilot at philsgang.com. Do what I do.
That's philsgang.com. If you want to invest your money and grow your wealth, listen to this.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. You know, I get so tired of listening to the same garbage every day, listening to the fake business news network telling you why you should buy this stock, why you should buy, and they're always wrong. Join my gang, philsgang.com, free for 10 days. You're going to learn when to buy a stock and when not to buy a stock. Hey, years ago it was different. You could buy a stock based on fundamentals. You could buy a stock based on earnings. You could buy a stock based on PE ratios. Those days are gone. That ended with QE. That ended when they financially engineered the market in 2008. Gone. Now you got to follow the money. And we have the knowledge because we have the chart. Pro 2 color-coded chart tells you when to buy, when to sell, when to run like hell.
For a limited time, you can join Phil's Gang free for 10 days.
Check it out, philsgang.com. Get the truth, get the knowledge, and understand how the market really works. You're not alone. 80% of those in the stock market, just like you, lose money. Hi, I'm Phil Grande, philsgang.com. Why do they lose? Because they don't know how to short stocks in down market. That will change once you use my patent Pro 2 color-coded chart. It works. The technology works. And it not only gives you an edge on the upside, but Pro 2 will put a smile on your face on the downside. That's right. Check it out. Free 10-day trial at philsgang.com.
When making wise investment decisions, Phil Grande has some sound reasons you should join Phil's Gang.
You know, when I started this, they asked me, okay, can you explain to people why they should join the gang? Gee, I thought about that. And I guess to make money. But more than that, to get good direction on which way the economy's really going. We get so much crap, so many lies, how great the economy is and how great the tech business is, and when it's not. The problem is we have too many people in Washington and in this industry that just don't tell the truth. The truth is everything. And here at Phil's Gang, we stick with the facts. We tell the truth. We make sure our members, are getting the best information, and our listeners, like you. We make that information available to you and make it simple and understandable.
Good investing means understanding how the stock market works. Join today at philsgang.com.
The stocks discussed on Phil's Gang are not in any way a recommendation or solicitation to buy, sell, or hold. If considering acting on information presented, we first recommend you seek out a competent, licensed professional for advice. Get ready for the radio show that tells you what Wall Street doesn't want you to know.
Oh, I'm a money magnet. Money, money, Money's coming to me. Money sets me free. I'm a money magnet. Money, 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 money's coming to me.
It's your daily dose of how to manage your money. And now it's time for Phil's Gang on the Off the Wall Street Radio Network. With your host, Phil Grande.
And welcome to my radio show and podcast. And this is where I take a few minutes every day to visit with folks. And you have any questions, ask away. And, sorry about that. You can't do this with the YouTube one. I got so many going on, I could get confused. Okay. So, again, the market today is really, like, it's doing nothing, right? And people are saying, man, the market. When you see markets die away like this, where there's just little to do, and it's not moving, that means underneath, it's like an earthquake, like a volcano is starting. And always understand that. Most people think, the market's doing nothing. It's up 45 points. I'm just going to go home or whatever. No, it's not how it works. When the market does this, just like when you got yields going down day after day after day after day. I mean, that's a real threat when yields keep going down every day. It's telling you got a problem with the economy. And it also tells you got a problem with earnings. And earnings, as you know, is the mother's milk of the economy or the stock market. So, no, it's not as it appears, like things are just, everybody's falling asleep. Just the opposite. In fact, I had a couple of notes I wanted to go over with you. I'll do that later. But what's more important is this. Everybody's talking about what's going on with Iran, what's going on with Israel. Are they going to drop that big bunker buster? What's going? What gets me is there's more threat here to us Americans than Iran, because Israel can take care of Iran. Israel does not need our help. There's no better fighters than the Israelis. And they have the equipment, they have what they need from us. So that's under control. So that's they're, at the end of the day, they're not going to have the capability of a nuke. They're just not going to. The Ayatollah, I'll assure you, will be dead. Even though that's taking up all the news, what should be taking up the news that could hurt you even more is the bond market. Now, 9 out of 10 people have no clue who trade stocks what the bond market is, because it confuses them, because everything's the opposite, okay? So again, it's the bond market. That's the problem. And because right now the bond market is so super important, it's always important, because again, remember the bond market comprises of all that corporate debt, massive corporate debt. And we also have the government debt. So that's why it's so important. And yields are important to watch. And this is where people get confused with the bond market, okay? Just understand, if your yields are going down, okay, and your bond market is going up, you got a problem, okay? When you got yields going down, as I just said a second ago, it's warning you. Now, even though, but you got to understand, the bond market is forward-looking. It's not telling you we're going to have a bond market crash today or a stock market crash today. So the minute you start telling people about, we looking out, looking at the bond market, which tells you the truth is never wrong, and you can say, well, there's possibility of a crash, they get mad at you. They don't want you to tell them that. You get all kinds of hate mail. They don't want you to tell them there's going to be a crash. And when you say there's going to be a crash, they think I'm saying, well, okay, so right now, take all your stocks out of the market or start shorting now. No, it's not what I'm saying. Remember, the bond market's like turning to Queen Mary, okay, with a rowboat, not a speedboat, okay? Takes time. And the wonderful thing about the bond market, because it gives you such a head start that you can plan for it. But like our stocks is a great example. When you look at our stocks and you look at all the profits we have in our, what we call our power stocks, okay, we don't say, hey, get out of JP Morgan. We've been in JP Morgan now for what? I don't know. We got in somewhere in April, right? Early April. So I'm not looking out at the bottom. Oh my God, we better get out of the market, or the market's going to crash today. So don't react as me or someone else telling you the bond market is telling us we're going to have a correction or a crash. It's telling you it's looking forward. So what do we do when we're trading? We always follow the price, the money. As long as our the JP Morgan keeps going up, our Goldman Sachs keeps going up, our Citi's going up, our oil, XOP is going up, our, what else we got going? Oh, we got a beautiful stock, VST. That's a real winner for us, VST. That's one of your AI stocks. GEV's been a big winner for us. We bought that on April 24th. We're still in it. We bought it at 337. It's now 484. So again, we're not telling you the market's going to crash. Yeah, that's a 43% gain. So when I get all this hate mail about, well, the market never goes down, you always say it's going to crash. No, I'm not saying it's going to crash. I'm saying we are getting the message from the market, and you got to read the message from the market. And the message from the market, and the bond market's where the message comes from, that the market is in bad shape. But people don't want to hear it. They just don't want it. So, but that's okay. The smart investor does. That's why very few people make money in the market. In the last 50 years, 85% of the people in the stock market lose money. 85%. Wonder why? So it's, so the bond market is super important because of all the corporate debt, the government debt, but also the yields are important because, again, they give you an indication. They tell you what's going on, okay? And when you get yields continue to drop, our yields have been going down for 4 weeks in a row. I'm sorry. That's indicating real uncertainty. You better learn how to sell short. I'm not telling you again, don't send me a hate mail over the week. I'm not saying the market's going to crash in 10 minutes. I'm saying the bond market's never wrong. And it's saying right now, look, these low yields have been going down for 4 weeks, especially the long bond, the 20-year, the 10-year, telling you, hey, there's some real uncertainty here. And what the real fear of Powell is that if all of a sudden we speed up to a rapid decline, then we end up in a bond market crash. And those are terrible. And when the Federal Reserve raises its fund rate too quickly, that also, remember, can cause a bond market crash. And that's why when Powell was fighting inflation, he raises it ever so slightly, because he's afraid of creating a bond market crash. So the great thing about the bond market, it gives you a lot of help. It really does. So, and again, remember 2022? The bond market warned us there was going to be a correction, and boy, was it right. And we were ready to go to start shorting. But we knew in advance we didn't get out of our stocks, out of our long position. We kept buying as long as we saw the money, okay? As long as the pricing was going up, money was coming in, we stayed long, but we certainly knew, hey, something's going to happen very badly here. And sure enough, we had the bond market collapse. And if you remember Silicon Valley Bank, that collapsed. Signature, First Republic, they all collapsed because why? They triggered the bond market crash. The Fed did. Okay, so again, so the bond market's your friend. It really is. You got to learn how to read the bond market, because that's the only thing you'll get good news from, or you're going to get real, truthful news from. Now, the good news, because the stock market's forward-looking, the bond market, can predict accurately as to the trend of the market looking forward. That's the good news. And again, it's not to be looked at as negative if you don't get a crash right away. Now, the the one thing about the yields that have been going down and been going down for 4 weeks in a row, remember that is telling you the economy is doing very, very poorly. Now, nobody wants to hear that. And when they come on TV, these jibber jabbers, they always say how great the economy is. The economy is wonderful. It's strong. The labor market is strong. None of that is true. The labor market's not strong. When I hear them tell us how all these things, the economy's strong, everything's strong, then why do we have credit cards delinquencies, the highest ever? Why do we have car repossessions, the highest ever? I mean, I could go on and on. Mortgages, mortgage payments. We've never had this many people missing or at a 90-day default. You know, they've gone 90 days past due. Highest ever. We didn't see that even in 2009. So the bond market, keep open-minded and watch it and know that when you got these yields that are declining every day and going down, that it's telling you there's a red flag for the market. Because what happens is when yields keep going down, it's telling you that your market's getting worse and worse, and that means your earnings are going to get worse and worse, and those earnings will show up negative, and then that's when everybody loses money to go, what happened? What happened? Okay? So the real bad news is most investors, like I said, the tourist investors especially, they're in a point right now of the market, it's called peaking. This is where we peak. The market has gone up, think about it, since 2009. I think I think we got on the NASDAQ up around 1,200, the S&P, or I may have that wrong. Yeah, no, that's right, about 1,200, and the S&P's up about 800. But why did that happen? Because remember, they've been increasing the money supply, pumping that money supply in. They keep on filling banks up with money, and then they take that money and people start borrowing, and they keep spending and spending and spending, and then all of a sudden inflation's crazy. Now they got to raise rates to stop that inflation, to slow you down. Now all of a sudden the economy goes down, starts declining, and then that's bad. The next thing, people get laid off. That means there's less tax revenue for the government, and already the government collects, it spends a great deal more than they collect. So that's really bad news. And so when that happens, your deficit, as I told you many times, your deficits increase. So this is why Powell is saying to Trump, we can't do this, because our deficits are going to go up if we start cutting rates. And not only that, then our national debt starts going up. And we're in deep trouble with the amount of debt we have. So that's why they're at each other's throats. And remember, too, the Fed is always terrified at sparking a collapse, not only in the bond market, but in the dollar. And so if he cuts too soon, okay, you got a problem. If he starts cutting too soon, that dollar's going to collapse. That's going to cost us a real problem, because right now we have a tax that's hitting us. It's called tariff. A tariff is a tax. That's what it is. And no one, and this is what Powell said to Trump yesterday, look, you started this tariff stuff. I cannot tell you what the percentage of increases will be in goods. It's going to be 30%, 40%. I don't know how much a pair of sneakers is going to cost. So how do I figure that in? So you want me to cut rates when all of a sudden pricing can go up, who knows, 30%, 40%. And I can't figure that. So that's why they're having that battle. But it doesn't interfere in what we're doing. Okay, just like the war or the conflict with Israel, okay, and Iran, that doesn't really affect us right now. Okay, and it's the same thing, the war going on between Trump and Powell. Do we cut rates, not cut rates? As long as you follow the money, you follow the money. And that's what we do every day here at Phil's Gang. We follow the money. That means we're following the pricing. And just like the stock I gave you, we're up 40%. And this AI stock, GEV, a lot more were up like that. Look, even our Budweiser, Our Budweiser's up about 20, I think 20% or more. So again, follow the pricing, follow the bond market, because it will tell you honestly what's going to happen in the future. Well, I hope you enjoyed.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're fighting against childhood cancer every day. At the heart of this battle are our donors.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here, and it doesn't matter your religion or what part of the world you're from, all that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Find out how you can help at stjude.org.
With the philsgang.com membership, we bring investors right to the floor, into the pits with Phil's daily live webinar classroom. Get inside market guidance on investing strategies. Find out more at philsgang.com or call 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. Don't have time to analyze and study stocks? At philsgang.com, we recognize that there are all types of investors, and we also recognize that your time is valuable. So we offer investing programs for all individuals. We offer investing programs for long-term and short-term positions. And philsgang.com provides quick and easy to understand investing videos that only take a few minutes to watch. With the philsgang.com investing programs, you will learn technical stock charting, how to execute your trades, and most importantly, you will gain the confidence to know when to get out of a stock and take profits. Sign up at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. Or give them a call, 877-600-GANG. Welcome back. Are you ready to make profits in the stock market? Why not check out philsgang.com or give us a call, 877-600-4264. Now, here's Phil.
Welcome back again to Phil's Gang. All day I've been thinking this is Monday. That's why when I left at first I thought I was done, because I do a 15-minute little gathering with everybody on every day at 3 p.m. Eastern on Instagram. If you want to catch me, I do a little 15-minute segment where you can ask me questions, and it's just real casual. It's not, I don't spend a lot of time preparing it. It's not like a radio show, and people enjoy it because I just give you my thoughts of what's going on, okay? And you can also ask me questions. So that's every day, okay, on Instagram at 3 p.m. So you should try to catch that. Monday through Thursday, I'm sorry. Then Friday, I do my show or my podcast radio show. Okay, now, here's what really is interesting. Over the weekend, as you know, Powell has been fighting with Trump. But then the guys on, these financial shows, these jibber-jabbers like Larry Kudlow, he sticks his nose in. And one other of his buddies, I want you to listen to what they said, though. I think this the top one's the short one here.
Commodities are down, the deflator's down, the money supply's down, he won't move. I mean, it is time for a change at the Fed.
That's not true. The money supply is not down. The money supply is up. The money supply has increased $2 trillion since November 2023. Why? Because they always push that money supply up. Let's see if I think I have that cut. I wanted to just show you. It's very interesting. Let's see if it's behind here. People don't realize, again, it's about money supply, too. I think I have, is it my show file? Yeah, I think it's my show file, right? Well, yeah, I think it is. Right here, I got it. So, again, if you take a look at this right here, this is interesting. I hope you can see that. Okay, so again, so he says all this stuff is good, right? Like money supply is down. No, money supply is up 2 trillion. And if you really look at the money supply, it's gone nuts. It's doubled almost twice since 2008. And then again, as of November here, she's going up 2 trillion. And why is that? Well, take a look at this chart. What is this chart? It's showing you tech stocks relative to money supply, okay, and how money supply creates a bubble. And then it compares to today, the same thing's going on. All this money supply that's going in causes a bubble. And that's what we have, is a bubble. See that? This was back here in the dot-com days. Because money supply, you keep on pushing that money supply in, what does it do? Well, that money supply, first of all, the big problem with money supply, they print it. So that's inflationary. And then they take the money and they shove it into all the 5 biggest banks. And the 5 biggest banks take that money and they give a lot of the money to corporations. And then the 5 biggest banks, of course, especially a lot of the commercial banks, they just keep lending it out and lending it out. And that money supply gets very inflationary. Very inflationary. So what happens is you're using that money supply to push the market up. Then they come in and they lower interest rates to push the market up. You're creating nothing but a bubble. It used to be years ago, everything would be created from productivity, increased business investment. In other words, if you could lower rates, corporations loved it because they would go out and borrow money for business investment, new machinery, new equipment, IT spending, build new buildings. They don't do that anymore. When they get low rates, what do? They buy their own stock back. Stock buybacks are crazy. The only time they can't do stock buybacks is 2 weeks before they report earnings. So what's going on, as you can see clearly here, the bubble. That's a bubble. See right here, it says bubble. And that's another thing people get angry at. If you call a stock market bubble, you get hate mail for that too. And here's another big bubble we're in right now. So these bubbles are going to pop at some point. I mean, there's just no question. Now, I'm not saying get out of the market today. Look at the stocks I showed you that we're in. We're in a great stock. Citigroup we're in. We're in Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan. We're in Budweiser, GEV, VST, 2 wonderful AI accounts. We're shorting Walmart, Costco. So we didn't also get out of our stocks because we saw this bubble in the making. We didn't just say get out. No, but I know that the market's going to collapse. We also know if the bond yields keep going down every day like they've been doing for 4 weeks, we could get a bond market crash. That's a lot of fun, that one, okay? So all I'm saying is be prepared. You just learn how to sell short or learn how to hedge against your 401k. Biggest problem with 401ks, they always end up losing their money because people get complacent and they see all the money they're making and they shove the thing in the drawer when the report comes. They don't even look at, hey, I'm rich, right? And they always get caught with those big corrections, all right? So but going back to Kudlow, what's he talking about? You know, how everything's wonderful. No, it's not. If things were so great, then why are the yields going down? But more important than that, okay, is if things are so great, then why are cash outs, home refinances, pulling equity out, the fastest pull out of equity in homes ever? Even during that 2009 housing bubble. And this is crazy. And auto repossessions are up the highest in 17 years. Mortgage payments past 90 days, the highest right here, I have it, since 2020. Credit card delinquencies, the highest in 30 years. Minimum card payments, 12-year record high. I could go on and on, don't get mad at me. And then when you have a guy like Kramer, Kudlow, yeah, Kramer too, but Kudlow, when he comes in and he says something stupid.
Commodities are down, the deflator's down, the money supply's down, he won't move. I mean, it is time for a change at the Fed.
And then his buddy, which one is that? I think it's this, where's his buddy? Where's the other one?
I think your point was right. You know, we have heard from Jerome Powell for the last 8 years almost that he's data dependent.
Yep.
We got data today.
Yes.
We got data today. Today's data, 2.1, target rate is 2. You know, the unemployment data still looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we are really a data-dependent Fed, you know, you're seeing data right now that would justify the Fed to take actions and lower rates. The Fed themselves has admitted that we've got a restrictive monetary policy right now. Their job is not to be restrictive. Their job is to allow the economy to thrive, and there's no indication from the data that says that they need to stay restrictive.
He knows the data is BS. Just like our job numbers. That's all BS. Look at, what was it, May or April? We were down 75,000 jobs. They added, I don't know how many, 102,000 to get up to 177, some number, to get to 177. And then the next month, they readjusted down by 50,000 jobs. He knows that's all BS. Those numbers are all BS, all the stuff we get from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. He knows that. He knows that. I mean, if everything's so great, as I said, why are people having problems paying their mortgage payments? They're past 90 days, the highest ever. And I don't want to waste my time on the stats, but I can go from stat to stat to stat. See, Wall Street only cares about Wall Street. See, these guys on these TV shows, these guys who are from Wall Street, that's all they care about. They do not care about Main Street. All they live for is please cut rates, please cut rates. And they don't give a damn when you cut rates that you're going to have a deficit go through the roof. And what does that mean for Main Street? Terrible. It means terrible inflation. Eggs are going to go back up. They don't care. So when you keep on cutting and cutting and cutting rates to move the stock market up, you at some point when it goes up, that you create such inflation that they got to now raise rates to cut the inflation. We've all gone through that. Remember the 9% inflation? And they raised rates to cut the inflation? Remember they had to raise rates to cut inflation. First, cut to move the market up. Then they had to raise rates to cut the inflation. And when you raise rates to cut the inflation, everything slows. Demand slows. Massive layoffs. That means less tax revenue going to the government. Now, it would be okay if the government did their job and would cut spending. If they would just cut spending, we could absorb it so we wouldn't get crashes. But because the government, the Congress will never stop cutting spending, when you start cutting rates, I mean, you start raising rates and all of a sudden you're cutting demand. People stop buying, people stop consuming. This is the biggest problem. Then you get all your layoffs. Then when you get layoffs, they stop. It stops everything. When you see your neighbor not going to work, you drive by your driveway that morning and you look at your neighbors outside and where are you going, Jack? Oh, I got laid off. That puts fear right through everything. So again, what Kudlow was saying and his pals, all BS. All BS. So they're saying that, and here's the thing, if you think about it, they're talking about how inflation is down to 2.1, right? Do you really believe that? That's not true, okay? And I mean, you don't get any truth out of these people. You just don't. And look, and as I said, look at the payroll surveys, the household survey. That's the one you got to watch. When they give you the first Friday of every month, look at the household survey. That one's the truth. And the household survey has said from January 1, 2025 to the end of May of this year, we have lost more than 1 million jobs. Do you know what the BLS is saying? Under the payroll survey, the first Friday of each month, they're up 839,000 jobs. So it's all BS. So Powell knows this. So when they say, look, he's a stat man and we got all great stats. No, we got terrible stats. We got lousy stats. So again, the money supply from 2008, okay, to 2020 was doubled. And during that time, from 2008 to 2020, that it doubled, the Fed rate was still close to zero rates for all those years. All those years. And then finally they dropped. Okay, the money supply only dropped from April 2022 to November 2023. It dropped by $2 trillion. By $2 trillion. And that puts upward pressure on interest rates. Then they said, well, we can't do that. So they turned around from November 2023. They stopped this upward pressure on interest rates. So what they did, from November 2023 to June 2025, they increased the money supply by $2 trillion to keep the pressure on the interest rates down. And he keeps telling Trump, I can't cut rates, but I'll continue to put pressure, downward pressure on interest rates. I'll do that for you, okay? Because, and that's what he's been doing. But remember, even after our 25% rally off that April bottom that we had, that everybody's so excited about, remember, more than half of that 25%, it wasn't a rally. It was short covering, a short covering rally. The same people who sold it short just buying their stock back. The majority of it was short covering, but Wall Street's not going to tell you that because they don't want you to get mad at them like you're getting mad at me for telling you the truth, okay? And yields continue to decline. Well, high school will tell you that. Your high school math teacher will tell you that, what the consequence of yields when they continue to decline. That indicates a weak economy. That means there's going to be weak earnings, and that's a red flag for the stock market. But if you mention that, people are going to get upset with you and mad. They want you to say, buy, 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 buy. Just keep buying. Everything's wonderful. And everybody, because and this always happens at the peak. At the peak. Let me see. I only got 30 seconds. Let me see if I can find that chart and show you what I mean. Right here it is. Every time the stock market is right at the peak, if I can find it here, right here. See it? Right in here. When you got a stock market right here, right at the very peak, right here. See, right here at the peak, it's always denial, delusion, and greed. That's where we are right now. And that's why people are never prepared for all of a sudden a bond market crash or a stock market crash, and they're never prepared to sell short because they don't want to hear about it. Join my gang, Phil's gang, free for 10 days.
Listening to Phil's Gang with your host, Phil Grande, on the Off the Wall Street Radio Network. Off the Wall Street Radio Network. Remember to visit Phil's website at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. Or call the office, 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264.
It's up to